those financial incentives on top of the opportunity zone. The tricky thing for us right now is we don't have a role in the opportunity zones. We designated those, or we nominated them to the governor's office, and we're fortunate enough to get a couple of opportunity zones designated. But it's a federal tax provision, so they don't need approvals from us. There's no sign-offs that we need to provide. So we don't really know, unless they come to us, whether people are taking advantage of the opportunity code or opportunity zone benefits. What we hope will happen is people will be drawn to those areas. They'll come in the door and they'll have a conversation with us, and then we may or may not need to be a piece of the puzzle in order to get that project going. But it's really hard for us to know what the impact of the opportunity zones are, because we're not involved in it.
I suppose they'd come to us if they needed rezoning, but if they don't
Correct,
need
rezoning, or maybe they want extra financial incentives on top of that, and that's where we can layer on TIF or CDBG and other funds.
Okay. Other questions, comments?
Well, just to comment on the tax issue, I think that's huge because, with a small business, there's two things. One, the business could fail, but the other thing is it could start making some money, and if they're not doing the withholding, they can get themselves in trouble very, very quickly, and that's always a very hard piece of it. And the other thing I was thinking about is that in terms of, eventually sort of having different categories, it strikes me that there might be, like, for example, a lawn mowing business that has an established track record but needs that funds to get a new lawnmower, sort of identify some of those that have some existing thing, but they just need to get that little additional capital to get that capital, a piece of equipment to sort of expand the business. But I think it's really exciting, and I'm excited to see what you guys have in store for that.
Yeah, I think we've worked to do a really good job of, and I think most of ours have been successful. We've had some failures, but oh yeah. Well, and probably some of the smaller ones who didn't have as much background and knowledge.
The nature of our funds, these are folks coming to us who can't get a bank loan, or before 2003, we used to provide $60,000, $70,000 loans with no technical assistance, no other partners, and every single one of them either defaulted or the owners went into bankruptcy. So we modified the program. We went for CDBG, that you had to at least establish a line of credit or some other type of partnering with a commercial lender is so beneficial to us because we don't underwrite commercial businesses every day, but commercial lenders do. So even if they can't get a $20,000 loan from them, if they can establish a $5,000 line of credit, because every business at some point probably needs a line of credit, that also gives us the expertise, because they give us the permission to contact the lender, like what collateral do we go after, what technical assistance do you think you need, because you see this type of business every day where we don't. That partnership's been invaluable. And for those businesses that cannot absolutely get even a line of credit established, we need to consider, okay, is that amount of risk that we're willing to take all by ourselves, and what technical assistance? Maybe they need to go through more technical assistance and then to get them in a better spot to succeed. Right. So we consider those things. And yeah, and even with those considerations, we've had some businesses default on us and not be able to pay us back. They're by nature risky.
Right. Yeah, if they weren't, they wouldn't be coming to us. They'd be going to the banks in the first place. Yep. So they need that. Yep. Rather unusual, if you will, or they don't have that background.
One other comment to the child care piece of it. That's obviously a national, state, and local issue, and I think this is something where that good, effective nonprofit. So that's one of these areas that I really want to see expanded, because I think that is probably the barrier for a lot of people in terms of opportunity. So that piece of it, I'm really, really pleased, and I'm pleased it's in the form of a grant too.
For us, funding 4Cs in this way was a win-win. We're working with primarily low-income women to create their own child-based businesses. They're for-profit businesses for them, either their source of income or a supplemental source of income. And then we're also providing a critical need of child care. So to us, we were thrilled that they were coming in.
Yep. Great. Okay. Let's see. Let me get back to the top here. What was the next? Any other staff report information?
Just something quick for me. You probably saw that we rolled out the building change program earlier or later last week. Maybe it was earlier this week. And I encourage you all to talk it up if there are people out there talking about or asking about what it is. We haven't had a whole lot of people knocking on our doors yet. I'm hoping that we do. Obviously, there will be a February 15th deadline for the up to $50,000 grant for facade renovation. There will be an ongoing application period for the loans, which are a little bit smaller, and those are the ones that are funded by our local lending institutions. And then as well, there are two programs that downtown businesses could apply to the Iowa City Downtown District for as well. So we've talked about layering several things that people can go after to help improve their businesses there. There will also be a workshop that we're hosting. I want to say it's on January 30th, that will be hosted by the Downtown District, but will include a presentation about our programs, about their programs, and we'll also have Marnie Teagle, who's one of our new code enforcement folks. I don't think that's her title anymore, but who will be there to help talk about signage and the kinds of things that need to happen with signage design and permitting, that sort of thing. So looking forward to that and really want some applicants. The only other thing I was going to mention is that, and we've mentioned this before, I think that we are working on putting together a draft proposal for urban renewal tax exemption area for commercial zones, not only downtown, but in a number of commercial areas around the community. We've put together a framework for that. Staff-wise, we're going to be working through that, and we hope to have something to bring forward to council in the coming weeks. So that's on I don't want to say a back burner, but it's a little bit out of reach yet, but it's coming.
Okay.
We'll start that at this committee, is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
You'll be the first ones to vet that program.
Okay, good.
Just let me say that's terrific, because that was one of my concerns with the downtown program, is that we didn't reach those other areas. I know there's reasons to focus on the downtown, but I'm glad that we're looking at those other
Yeah,
areas.
very important.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Another thing we're in the middle of is evaluating proposals for, that were in response to a request for proposals for a downtown retail recruiter who would help us analyze all of our commercial districts and help us recruit appropriate businesses into empty spots and help us figure out how we might be able to better market some of the spaces that we do have that have been sitting empty or underutilized.
Would that be a city or downtown district?
It's citywide.
It's city.
City employee?
No, this
No.
would be a contract.
Oh, is that part of the consultant?
With an outside.
Yeah, the consultant.
Okay. I didn't know what
Yep.
Yeah.
But it would encompass the entire city, not just the downtown.
Yep. So, okay. Anything else for staff? Anything from the committee?
I want to mention one thing. I had earlier mentioned an article that appeared in Annals of Iowa. So the title is Creating a Barrio in Iowa City, 1916 to 1936. And it's been written by Nathaniel Otjen, that's Otjen. It's a 2017 article. So it focuses on the area south of the railroad tracks where there was an Hispanic neighborhood.
Interesting.
A barrio.
Okay.
Check it out. Thank you.
Anything else, the committee?
You've been doing a lot of reading lately, John.
Barbara does the reading. She sends me stuff.
Any other business?
Nope.
Do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned, 2:15. Thank you very much.
Iowa City Police are getting cold for a cause. Find out how you can get involved. Learn how you can be part of a committee that ensures accuracy in the 2020 census. And finally, there's still time to submit your writing for the Poetry in Public contest. We have these stories and more coming right up on Iowa City Update. Police officers will be freezing for a reason during the Iowa City Polar Plunge, and they're looking for help raising funds. The Polar Plunge is a fundraiser for Special Olympics Iowa, where individuals and organizations raise money by jumping into frigid waters. Participants can either support the cause by signing up themselves or donating on behalf of an existing team, such as the ICPD.
So we developed a team called Partners in Blue to support Special Olympics Polar Plunge. So that means officers from Iowa City and the University of Iowa Police Department are going to jump into the freezing cold water to support Special Olympics.
After the plunge, there will be a post party featuring food and music. Prizes will also be awarded for best costumes and most funds raised. To learn more or register online, visit soiowa.org/plunge. Iowa City is looking for volunteers to participate in a complete count committee to ensure that all residents are accurately counted in the 2020 U.S. Census. An introductory meeting that was scheduled in late January was postponed due to winter weather. The rescheduled meetings will now take place on Wednesday, February 13th from 6 to 7 p.m. in Scanlon Gym at Mercer Park Aquatic Center. Individuals, families, students, and community associations are invited to take part in this awareness campaign. It's not too late to showcase your writing talent to the public. Due to weather cancellation of classes by the Iowa City Community School District over the past few weeks, the Poetry in Public deadline has been extended to Friday, February 15th at 5 p.m. Poetry in Public celebrates Iowa City's rich literary tradition and local writing talent by displaying poems in public facilities and city buses. Selected poets will also have the opportunity to read their poem during the Iowa Arts Festival in June. Entries are open to all Johnson County residents regardless of age or experience. To submit a poem or for more information, go to icgov.org/PIP. Also, a reminder, City Hall administrative offices will be closed Monday, February 18th in observance of President's Day. Trash and recycling collection will continue as scheduled, and parking and public transit will proceed under normal operations. The Iowa City Library will be open from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m., but there will be no bookmobile service. For a full listing of city departments that will be affected, you can visit icgov.org/President's Day 2019. That's our show. Did you know the city hosts a podcast? Subscribe to Iowa City Matters to hear about projects and programs that have a substantial impact on our community. Our next episode on crisis intervention drops in a couple of weeks. Have a great week, everybody. We'll see you next time on Iowa City Update.
The city's Climate Action and Adaptation Plan provides strategies for reducing community-wide greenhouse gas emissions. To help inspire and promote public involvement, the city is offering a Climate Action Grant.
The Climate Action Grant is to help promote the Climate Action Plan that we just completed. And so the plan is very community-based and community-wide. We want to involve the community and help them do some projects to help forward implementing the plan.
This will fund up to $5,000 for projects that specifically promote or implement one or more of the 35 actions within the plan.
You can apply for up to $5,000. We're hoping to award several $5,000 grants.
To be eligible, the organization or group must be principally and physically located in Iowa City. Nonprofit organizations or for-profit agencies that partner with a nonprofit may apply. Funds may not be used for operational costs, such as a salary. The goal of the grant project must align with the goals listed in Iowa City's Climate Action and Adaptation Plan.
So we're looking for projects that fall within the 5 categories of the Climate Action Plan, which are buildings, so that would include any projects or programs with energy efficiency or use less electricity and natural gas. Transportation is another section. Waste, reducing waste that goes to our landfill, which creates greenhouse gases. Adaptation or sustainable lifestyles. The plan is online, so you can look at that online to see which of the 35 actions that the project would support.
Applications are being accepted from February 1st to March 1st. You can find all the materials at icgov.org/climateaction. A review committee will evaluate and award grants based on ranking criteria.
The general goal is to help reduce our greenhouse gases, which we make an inventory and look at that every year. So we hope to see reductions in that, but also get people involved, make them aware, and support their actions.
One thing that makes the corridor a great place to work is that it doesn't take you very long to get to work no matter where you live. You don't deal with the congestion that you would get in a large city. Very easy to get in and out of the city. Makes for a nice, pleasant drive for work.
As far as careers that are available in the corridor, I know that there's a high emphasis on technological positions.
There are a lot of great career opportunities in the corridor. We have several hospitals in our area that offer a lot of great medical opportunities, as well as locally owned businesses, but also worldwide corporations.
The people that we have here, the quality of the workforce, the quality of the people, the pride in which they show in their jobs has really been spectacular.
All right, good morning. We'll be punctual. We know everybody's got things to do, so welcome. My name's John Greer. I'm the fire chief in Iowa City. Most of you know me, but this side of the room probably not so much, so I got a chance to chat with you a little bit. But thanks for coming to the badge pitting ceremony. So we'll get going. We have some folks from the city that are here to participate. So the city manager's office is represented a couple times. We got communications. We got accounting. Of course, there's a bunch of firefighters here, so hopefully you'll get to meet some of them as you hang around afterwards. But so we do this badge pinning ceremony because it's an opportunity to welcome a new member to our family. I mean, it seems kind of corny to say sometimes, but we are a family. We spend a lot of time together, and so you get to know the ins and outs of people pretty well. So we wanted to take this time to just carry on with the tradition, because traditions in the fire service are very important. And when we have new members walk through the door, we want to include them in those traditions, and we hold those traditions near to our heart. So the tradition of pinning is a celebration in honoring our members who are newly hired or newly promoted. This time we just have a newly hired, so David gets to have all the recognition, doesn't have to share it with anybody. So today we do celebrate David Arch as a new firefighter in Iowa City. Firefighter Arch has been working hard with the training officer over the last 6 weeks or so, and I always get the report from the training officer that yes, he's good to go. And as I knew that would not be a problem when I met David and talked to him, I know he's been working hard to get to the point that he is. You know, it's one of those, the down on the list, right in the middle. 4 years later, you think the call is never going to come, and it comes. It just, timing is everything. So it's a good thing. And I wasn't kidding when I called you. So congratulations on clearing the first hurdle and getting through the orientation program. So I know you've done some ride time with your shift already, so that's also a good thing. But I'll let Training Officer Smith do a little chat in here. I'll get out of the way.
All right. Again, I'm Training Officer Smith. I got to spend the majority of the last 6 weeks with David, and we got to know each other pretty well. Knowing that spending 8 hours a day with each other, you find out little things about each other that you typically wouldn't do. And he's also learned a lot in the process and spent a lot of time with other instructors, not just myself. But nonetheless, it's been a very good experience. So today is a pretty cool day for you. And I know you're excited. We're excited to welcome you to our family. So without further ado, firefighter recruit David Arch. Today marks the ending and the beginning. On January 7th, you embarked on a 6-week journey through the ICFD Recruit Academy, during which time you were trained by myself and a cadre of talented, knowledgeable ICFD instructors on the skills of basic firefighting, search and rescue, self-rescue, vehicle extrication, hazmat operations, just to name a few. During your 240 hours of training, you have pushed yourself physically and mentally, donning and doffing your PPE over and over, crawling on your hands and knees through the drill tower maze and the confidence course under obscured vision, pulling a charged hose line around quarters, up and down stairs, sometimes into zero visibility and high heat conditions, even when it was cold. Carrying raising ladders, dragging a 150-pound firefighter in full PPE to safety, all the while finding muscles that you didn't know that you had and pushing yourself mentally through anxiety and fear from the unknown. And I think we had that conversation, especially since you like to work out. We found some muscles that you didn't know you had. David, you have been trained and tested. You have done well, and you should be proud of yourself. However, this is just the end of the first chapter in your career as a firefighter with the Iowa City Fire Department. Now, the real work begins. Firefighter Arch. You will be assigned to Shift A, Station 1, starting Tuesday, February 19th. Under the command of Captain Harden and Lieutenant Recker, you will spend the next 10.5 months expanding on what you have already learned, honing your skills, drilling until it becomes second nature. You will be trained by your fire department family, those men and women that you will serve with. They will ensure that you train not until you get it right, but until it becomes impossible for you to get it wrong. Build relationships and trust with these people. Gather all the knowledge and experience you can from them. Everyone you encounter has a life experience that is slightly different from yours, and as such, something they can teach you. When you successfully complete your probationary year, your training may be complete, but your education is far from over. Learn every day. Improve, teach, inspire, lead. On our shields, we carry our name, both as an individual and as a department. For alone, neither is as strong as when combined. We carry our rank, an achievement that is born of hard work and dedication, proudly displayed for all to see, and we carry our number. Since Iowa City became a career department over 100 years ago, only 202 numbers have been bestowed. Today, Firefighter Arch, you become 203. Come on forward. When you remove the recruit shield from your helmet to replace it with this one, reflect back on what it took to get to where you are today, and then cast your vision forward to where you want it to take you. Start that path now without delay. Congratulations, Brother Arch. Welcome to the family.
Can you stay up here, David?
Yeah.
Save you a trip. Every time I see the shield number, it goes, wow, because I'm 129. I'm like, how did this happen? You know, I'm not the lowest number in the room, though, so that's a good thing. But though I am older than you. So. it seems like yesterday I was 129, and to go to 203, that's just like, wow, that is just unbelievable. So you're here. So David Arch was hired by the fire department on January 7th, 2019. He's completed his orientation. He's graduated from the University of Iowa with a Bachelor of Arts degree in history. He's certified as an EMT, as a firefighter 1, and previously worked for Johnson County Seats here in Iowa City. So as I was talking with your parents, street study should be fairly easy for you. You've been around and around. So David, as a member of the fire department, are you willing to take an oath of obligation to protect and serve the citizens of the community?
Yes, sir.
Excellent. I'm going to raise your right hand, repeat after me. I state your name.
I, David Arch,
Do hereby state
do hereby state
that I will uphold the Constitution of the United States
that I will uphold the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Iowa,
and the Constitution of the State of Iowa,
that I will respect, honor, obey, and enforce
that I will respect, honor, obey, and enforce
the laws and ordinances of the City of Iowa City,
the laws and ordinances of the City of Iowa City,
that I will respond to and obey
that I will respond to and obey
the rules and regulations
the rules and regulations
and orders of officers
and orders of officers
of the Iowa City Fire Department,
of the Iowa City Fire Department,
and that I will honestly and faithfully
and that I will honestly and faithfully
serve my profession
serve my profession
in the discharge of my duties as firefighter.
in the discharge of my duties as firefighter.
Further, I recognize
Further, I recognize
the badge of my office
the badge of my office
as a symbol of public faith.
as a symbol of public faith.
I accept it as a public trust
I accept it as a public trust
to be held as long as I am true
to be held as long as I am true
to the ethics of the fire service.
to the ethics of the fire service.
I take this obligation freely,
I take this obligation freely,
without mental reservation
without mental reservation
or purpose of evasion,
or purpose of evasion,
and further promise
and further promise
to hold sacred these objectives and ideals,
to hold sacred these objectives and ideals,
dedicating myself to the fire service
dedicating myself to the fire service
as my chosen profession.
as my chosen profession. So,
Congratulations.
yes, sir.
Stay up here. As we mentioned in the oath, the badge is a symbol of public faith and the trust in a firefighter who is dedicated to the community. So David's mother, Carol, is going to pin his badge on it. And I'll get out of the way so you can get some decent pictures. Excellent. So welcome to the department. We're certainly glad to have you, and I know that you're anxious to get going. I'd like to thank everybody for showing up. Thanks to all the Iowa City Fire Department folks for being here. I mean, it's good to have this big of a turnout. Thanks for all the city employees that showed up to support us. That's certainly appreciated as well. Stick around. We'll take a few pictures, and then we'll let you get on your way. Okay. So congratulations again. Thank you. All right. I got a couple things for you to sign here. Then we'll take some pictures.
Convened, and they made recommendations on regional administration, uniform core services to be available statewide, eligible criteria for children and adults with mental illness, intellectual disabilities, and brain injuries, and changes to the judicial commitment process. In 2012 and 2013, we had the passage of system redesign legislation that incorporated the majority of work group recommendations. This affirmed redesign must be consistent with Olmsted principles. It continued input by stakeholder work groups. The regions were to be fully operational by July of 2014, which I believe they were. And there were still some funding questions at that time that remained unresolved. And as you all probably know, we still have funding issues. In 2013 and 2014 was the implementation of the Affordable Care Act in Iowa. This was Medicaid expansion per Governor Branstad's approach. There were issues in Iowa's enabling legislation, the Section 1115 waivers implementing expansion, and Iowa's essential health benefits. In 2013-2014, we have implementation of the Affordable Care Act. I guess this is continued, I'm sorry. Medicaid expansion has complicated mental health and disability services redesign funding. The redesign and Affordable Care Act implementation have generated strong advocacy partnerships. We are more united than ever because the Affordable Care Act has created a lot of problems in Iowa. The battle to expand home and community-based services. You know, without having those waivers, people are at risk of institutionalization. There are a lot of people on those waiver waiting lists that are waiting for services, and we don't know how many of those had to be institutionalized because they couldn't get the waiver services, because nobody's keeping that data. The waiver list can be 2 years long. Some of them are longer, particularly the physical disability waiver wait list. The Iowa commitment under its BIP grant is to expand home and community-based services to more than 50% of all long-term care spending by September 15th, and that was back in 2014, I think. And in 2013, there was veto of money to reduce the waiting lists, and the task force has done a lot of advocacy around this to try and get more funding to eliminate those waiver waiting lists. Other big issues that are on the Olmsted Task Force list is, you know, looking at that whole idea of integrated setting. We've had some rulings that have come out on that now that have kind of, you know, reconfirmed that, but I think there's still somewhat of a struggle with implementation of that. And there is no community living without affordable, accessible housing, so we are still really limited in the affordable, accessible housing piece. What's been happening to the consumer choice option? You know, we're hearing stories from all over that people on